go. Yeah, my headphones are telling me they're low on battery, but how low on battery are you, my friend? Yeah, thank you. Okay, that's fine. They're not as low as I thought. Just wanted to stream for a little bit. Rogues. Not gonna stream long. AC is having issues. I just finally have some spoons today to stream, so I wanted to stream even though it won't be for long because the air conditioning, and also I don't have a ton of spoons, but I got a couple. I'm willing to use on some rogues that are tiny. Yeah, we've played so much of this game. Which is, hey, totally fine by me. Let me see. Let us consult the completionist chart. We've completed it as Santa and the Doppelganger. I kind of want to just go down the list. We'll pick 3. You know what, we'll pick 3 classes we want to alternate between. Superhero just got a rework, so we'll tag Superhero. We're not going to do all 3 of these today. I want to get some more Chaos runs in, so we'll do Chaos. Superhero, Chaos, and who's another one? Who's one of these I enjoy? Seeing which one I have my low wins with. I haven't really played a lot of the Wizard, even though it's very good. Well, actually, Superhero is flexible. Superhero is flexible, Chaos is flexible. Let's pick one that's not very flexible, like... Let's see, what's High Noon? Unload 6 shots at up to 6 enemies, dealing thrusting damage and guaranteed lucky hits. Lucky draw, lucky hits with attacks or skills make you repeat your next attack. Sure. How much have we done as Gunslinger? Not a lot, actually. Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm going to mark 5 so I can use the D6. So that's a Dex. We'll pick an Int. Let's do Pyro as our Int. There we go. You know what? I am actually going to plug in my headset. I wasn't going to, but I'm going to. Just because I don't want it to die during a run. That would be annoying. Oh. Thank you, watch. I took off my watch because he's sweaty because of the AC not working right. Let's see. Gunslinger's Dex, Pyro's Int. What's a Strength? Do we have Deprived? Deprived is fun. But is it? Is it really fun? You do Warrior? Oh, we've done very little as Warrior. Yeah. Mark Warrior. So that's 5. And we'll say on a 6 I pick someone else. There we go. It's a 6, so I pick someone else. Gonna be Alchemist. And for 6, I'm gonna mark it on my little sheet with green to show me that next time I roll a 6, I'll be playing as the Bandit. Where's Alchemist? Alchemist, here we are. Locked entrances to alchemy labs to transmute items. Turn an enemy to a hardened sheep. Can also be used on treasure chests and shrines at your own risk. What haven't we done as Alchemist? Cinder 4. Fine with that? That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Actually, I don't love double-edged sword. Monster Jam's fun. Yeah, let's do a Cinder 4 Alchemist. I really just like Golden Spatula. With Alchemist, keys, extra keys are good, so we'll do keys for him instead. I realize now for 6 I could just hit random. I didn't have to do all the shenanigans. So we will just we will just pop a random. Boop. And we'll let ourselves ninja. Okay, that's totally fine. You're dash heavy. Go back to Golden Spatula. Turn intangible and mark enemies by touching them, inflicting damage when the skill ends. Okay, cool. What haven't we done as ninja? Ninja. We've done Cinder 4 as ninja. So we're going to crank it up to Cinder 8 and go either primal or good. Not primal, lawful or good. We'll do the automatons. It synergizes nicely with our thing. We'll do pestilence because that's not bad. I don't like ebb and flow very much. Unjust incentive. And we'll do oppressive enemy enchantments. Alright. 3, 2, 1. Hey, it's Triple A and welcome to Tiny Rogues. We are playing the Ninja. Now that we're done Santa streaking, we're back to normal. Playing things semi-randomly. We have... okay, I'll go here. We've got the Ninja skill, which lets us kind of like shadow clone it up. Like, it's kind of a time stop, actually. And then we run through and hit everything. Since we have the sentries on, I'm going to try and save it for the boss. Come on. There we go. I've not actually... Oh, I forgot. I forgot we get the boost from dashing. That's right. It's been a little while since I've played. Okay, this is a good time to do this. I did not run through nearly enough enemies there. Whoop. Could have gone worse. We have no bombs. In we go. Flower circlets. No thanks. They're not bad, it's just we don't really want them. I'll take a blessing. We have something that's... What's giving us the close range? I don't know. But we're having something happen at close range. Trigger damage, good. Okay, we'll take good. I don't have bombs still. That's not a shuriken thing, is it? No, I don't know. We'll do this. Cheers. Because we played last with Santa, basically, exclusively, I've still not really gotten to hone in how to really take advantage of the different skills. That could have gone better. How do we get an extra charge back? Oh, it recharges every 5 rooms. I really should have read... that actually is probably pretty good. Brawler Knuckles... I'm actually going to do companion attack speed, because that'll make our duplicates attack faster. It's been a little while. I gotta re-hone in That's really good. Yeah, that's... I don't know why it's telling me I've been cursed as if I've never been cursed before. It does that every couple updates or so. So yeah, we can shadow dash a little bit more frequently than I thought. Oh, there's the little bar on the side, that's right. Over here. Give me something better. No. Sniper bow is great, actually. Cool. That was easy. Gonna keep mainlining decks. Don't know why that made the game lag for a second, but it did. Maybe our little guys were making too many particles. Our little fellas. Little goobers. Brawler works. Nice. It's basically like a room clear every 5. Wow, that was atrocious accuracy. Oh, that was real bad. Neat. Thank you, safe bet. We don't have an accessory, so I'll go for it. The channeling part's really annoying of the skills. I get it. I think it's so you don't like use them accidentally. Or at least for this one. Maybe it's a balancing factor so you can't just enter ninja mode. Honestly, gonna take the Vial Pendant. It's not good necessarily, but it's not bad. That one's good. Don't have enough souls for this, do I? What? 5? Oh, I have 2 souls, not 5 souls. I can read. I can read, I promise I can. So yeah, I got extra damage taken. Extra iframes after taking damage. Not extra damage taken. And I heal after a boss fight. Black market. With a disintegrator we can afford. We'll lose a good for it, but I think that's absolutely worth it. Hi. And now we have an epic weapon. Frick it, let's get cursed too. That was fun. Yes, give me some dex, please. I don't know how I ran into that huge, bright-colored orb, but I absolutely did. One thing I love is, even though this game continues to sometimes reinvent the wheel with itself, every time I come back, I thoroughly love it and enjoy it. It never, like, has gotten to the point where it's overcomplicated itself, or made it unfun in any way. Which, that's pretty impressive, I would say. Unfortunately, we don't have the money for that. But considering we're kind of balling out with the disintegration gun, I think that's totally fine. I would like to reroll, please. Thank you. Hell yeah. Gloves are another charm. Charm, because our current gloves work really well for us. I should be dashing, however, we're... There we go. I didn't want to over-dash in the first phase, because I know the second phase is very dash-heavy. There we go. Yippee. What you got? Ooh, 100% movement speed. Absolutely. This synergizes great with our Shadow Dash. Is that what it's called? Shadow Dash? Dark Arts. Yeah, screw it. Hit me with another skill. Ooh. Gain 25% skill effect per stamina. When there are fewer than 4 enemies in the room, extra damage at far range, more enemies at close range. 3, let's see, yes. Deals a critical hit and also triggers your on-dash effects. Oh, you can dash to prematurely end it. I didn't realize that. I'm actually going to reroll. Let's do Harmony, because we're pretty cursed. What's our curse hit chance at the moment? 20%. Let's do it. We'll be a harmonious little ninja. Hi. Come on. There we go. There we go. There we go. Nice double kill. Beautiful. Rare weapon, might as well. It just costs a bomb. Harp crossbow. Crossglaive. Crossglaive could be good for anything that gets close. Like anything that gets too close. I don't really see that happening, but... Yippee. Events. Yeah, we'll play for some ethereal dice. This game, I think the games are a little too easy. That's okay. Here's his last play. Maybe I should start nerfing myself for the minigames. Like closing my eyes while he does the cups. Or something like that. Don't get me wrong, I will happily take, what is it, 15 ethereal dice? Yeah. I could take, without... That's hard to say no to, but I'm going to. I would like some more equipment, pretty please. Hell yeah. What you got? Your attacks gain a 35% chance at close range to splatter. I don't really need it. Give me an epic, because this is a two-handed weapon, right? No. We might as well take the guaranteed epic anyway. There's his buddies down. Our damage is not fantastic, even though our weapon is. Beautiful. What you got? Necro Torch. Useless. Not necessarily useless, but probably useless. Soccer Orb. I don't have a golden dice, do I? No. I've got a lot of other dice, though. Do I want a soccer orb? No. We need money. Grab this, and we'll sell it at our next opportunity. Strength, nature damage. See, our current, we are at 4 good, right? Yeah, we're capped on good. Don't need that. I do like now that getting evil doesn't remove from your good score. Ooh, I was doing so well until I just walked into the projectile. And here's the Reaper. Hello, Reaper. Hello. Alright. Now that I'm feeling comfortable in my tiny rogues again, I've got some bits to riff on. Because the world has been fucking chaotic as all hell lately. Like, you know, the fact that the White House Twitter account is just shitposting. On skill use, trigger 3 meteors. I like. Yeah. An evade, and lucky hit chance. Give me an evade. Pawn shop. Beautiful. That's still good. Garnet Charm could be useful in a pinch. But yeah, the White House posting Ghibli AI art of deporting someone and them crying in handcuffs. We're definitely in the bad place. At this point. And now it's just, you kind of gotta cope. And it's been weird. Hi, I would like an enchantment, please. Sure, poison damage is fine. Tempted to grab that, but I'll do this. I've been trying to stay off Twitter to the best of my ability. But when it helps with work stuff as much as it does for me, it's kind of hard. I'm not going to go in there. Fuck it. Yeah, yeah. I got it again. Goblin Charm solid, orbital speed, magic find. Whoop. You dare let me gamble? Yeah. No, I don't have the souls for it. Yeah. Do I want the goblin? I don't think I want anything here. Oh, I didn't sell the torch. Need that. Fuck it, let's buy contraband. It's garbage. Lost $14 on it. Oh well. Buy body armor. Buy a body armor? Earn a body armor. I can speak. I swear I had other things to talk about, but now I'm just remembering back that super fucking cursed image of the White House Twitter account post, and it just kind of reminded me, oh, life sucks. Invulnerability, go! Yeah, this makes me invulnerable. I mean, I can't attack either, but... Wrecked. See, I try to be like a normal college student with everything going on. It's been a wild time. Ooh. Lucky hit, inflict fragility. Yeah. Definitely don't need the shinobi suit that I didn't even see. Hey Aaron, welcome in. Yes, refill my flasks. Don't hesitate. Hydrate. Those jellyfish remind me, for some reason last night in the Latin Guild Discord, everyone was just posting jellyfish emojis. Which confused me greatly. Turns out a bunch of them were like, they were... I don't know, it's SpongeBob shit I don't get because I've never seen the show. I'm doing pretty well, thank you. Despite the fact our air conditioning is fucky. It's been a trying week, but I'm doing well. That's why I decided, fuck it, let's stream today. I edited up a very good TikTok that I think is going to be fun once it goes up tomorrow, question mark? It's going up either tomorrow or Sunday. Depends on what I'm feeling. Playing this game not as Santa is substantially different. Yeah, I'll feed you souls. Wedding dress. That's actually solid. In your shroom, I mean room, I feel that. I enjoy vibing in the shroom room. Let's see, what are you? Imp dagger. Oh. Is this better? No. This is solid for melee, but we're not really having melee issues. What's your attack speed? 3.39. Oh, they have the same attack speed. Cool. Disintegrator upgrades, go! I can't get it up to max, but I can get it pretty dang close. Fuck. Alright. Ninja dash time. That ninja dash is really growing on me. What's your favorite sport? I mean, sports. I appreciate the bit. That's a good question. My favorite sport to play would be archery or chess. Both ones I used to play back in the day. I have a weird history with sports. I'm in a wheelchair now, but I used to be a competitive dancer, as well as a pretty solid volleyball player. Favorite to watch, I typically just watch around the Olympic time, like around the Olympics. Favorite Olympic sport to watch for winter is definitely curling. For Summer Olympics, I'm a big fan of volleyball. It makes me nostalgic in a good way. Outside of that, I'll occasionally watch basketball with friends or family if I'm subjected to such. Yes, we love and embrace our fellow fungi here. I'm slightly encumbered, so bye-bye, lucky hit chance. Physical damage, flask up, cold, we don't need any of this. Be gone. We have enough for the final upgrade on this that we'll get on the 9th floor, so give me some consumables. And if I get the opportunity, I'd like to get a different enchantment, because the poison's not really helping us much. Ooh, okay, well, that solves that. Actually, no, it doesn't, because it can't go to 4. Damn. Yes, let's go. We got happy. My personal favorite mushroom joke that I tell with frequency is, no, I'm not going to say it. Never mind, because I was going to tell it, but then my brain went, ha, you're going to forget how the punchline goes, how the start of the joke goes. Oh, I have to sneeze. Oh, Jesus. Pikachu sneeze. I'm choosing not to do the curse removal because we have Harmony, which synergizes with being cursed. Gives us extra radiant damage on our attacks. I'm actually not going to do that because we need the strength to be able to wield shield. Go. Oh, I used my evade while I was channeling. Boo. Tick speed. Ooh. Thank you. Check this. On dash, that's really fucking good. We don't need this. Modifiers to movement speed also. Ooh. Oh no, we'll lose the good movement speed if I do that. We do want the shark ring. Because we dash a bunch, we synergize off dashes. Thank you, no man. Let's level up. What do we got? Tally of 3 attacks. Your next attack or skill is a guaranteed crit. No, thank you. Nope. Nope. No. Lucky hits are guaranteed lethal hits. I don't think we have a high enough lucky hit chance to want to do that. That's tempting, but no. I don't see us taking much more. Ranged weapons at close range have guaranteed crushing hit chance. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's worth. Because this weapon has really high top end. You see that hit was for 3,300. So we're kind of getting the best of both worlds on that. Fuck it, give me another broccoli. Oh, that's a secret room. Though my item in this game no longer reveals secret rooms, it will not stop me from finding them. Yeah. That's good. You know what they say, jokes are good for the morals. Very nice. I am in a wedding dress, wielding a death ray. Lovely. Right. Whoa. Bad dragon. No, don't say that. Wait. Abort! Abort! There we go. It's dead. Ooh. I mean, this is good, but we don't really benefit from it. A block and an armor over... That was fucking loud. Is that my mail? That was my mail. Sorry about that. Mute tab. There we go. I don't know why that was so goddamn loud. 10% chance for range attacks to echo. That's better than what we've currently got. The rest of these are good, but not quite as good. Oh, you know what? I should have gotten rid of the Curse Restore Stone. Since you can't sell that. This is a terrible room for us. We're going from 2-hit killing to 1-hit killing, 3-hit killing things, which was dangerous. I'm the diabolical bride. There's got to be a good joke here about, like, you know, Killer Bride or Bridezilla. There's a good joke in there somewhere, and I'm just struggling at it. Is your bit just mushroom jokes? I appreciate it, and I approve. I don't need that. Hugs for everyone. Come on. There we go. Blessing of more decks. What's my dex at? We're near the scaling cap, so I can stop worrying about decks outside of level ups. That was bad. I mean, we got more decks, which is good, but we got damage, which is bad. I'm wishing I'd taken the revive. These all suck. Do ore radius, I guess. Ah. You know what? Losing that extra stamina from the headgear really is messing us up. There's my revive. Yeah, we gotta change some things. I unfortunately don't see, like, this is better than this. I just gotta play smarter. I don't really want either of these, but I don't have any red dice, so... in we go. I disagree. Definitely thought I dodged that. Alright, that was lucky. We're gonna try and get a summon. I would actually be embarrassed if we lost this run, because we have been... before this, we were just cranking out Cinder 16 victories. So losing on Cinder 8 as an objectively pretty good character would be very unusual for me. I'm one of the goats of this game, statistically speaking. Just a bit rusty. I've not played since February. No, January? January or February? The beginning of said month. Yippee! Mana Worm. Strength up and down would actually be totally fine. But we're not near or at our maximum. Yeah, we're going to do Fallen Star. For the Mana Worm. Armor up, stamina up, health up. Holy crap, these are good. Lose that for, what's the price? 15, 13, 12. Spatula can go. I mean, we can keep it to sell it. Keep that to sell that. We take the stamina and we take the health. There we go. That'll help. We're no longer as squishy as we were before. Take our resin. Thank you, block. Unfortunately, I had to use you so early. Getting an infested Reaper room is a not great way to start a floor. Think I can spawn more worm? No, I think I'm just capped at the 1. I didn't end up taking the extra one when it was offered earlier in the run. Because I didn't have anything. I didn't have a companion earlier in the run. Treasure scroll plus 4. Can't use. Could, but shouldn't. The missile launcher's okay. It's not going to synergize great with anything we have, but it's not a bad weapon. I am sucking, I'll admit. To be fair, the first run I did back after my my last break, I lost on Cinder 1 and then won on Cinder 16 3 times in a row. So I'm definitely known for being inconsistent. Lucky hits? No, that doesn't help us. That would give us, what, 300% extra damage? No. That would give us 60% extra damage. Oh, but that would go down as Shadow Clones spawn. Right? Yes. Yes, it would. So that'd be a weird double-edged sword there. You're capping out on your shroom jokes. +2. If you have repeated attack in the last 4 seconds, we do repeat attacks pretty frequently. Correct? Don't we have something that makes us repeat? Oh, it's only a 10% chance for them to repeat. That could give us up to 40%. Nah, okay. Power also increases companion damage at 200% value. Not feeling it. No. Range damage is always considered close. It would mean we would always get close range damage. It means we would crushing hit every shot, which is very good. So we should take that. It'll make every shot crushing. That's solid. I'll hold on to it. Just watch out for this on final boss. Full upgrade both, because why not? And give me health, please. Oh, forgot the rocket's home. Never mind, that's great. Hell yeah. We'll take a curse blessing. I just realized we're Ginormica from Monsters vs. Aliens. No, not Ginormica. What's the... I mean, yeah, that would also work, but... What's that character from Wreck-It Ralph, who, like, on her wedding has to, like, pull out a minigun to, like, save herself from dying like her husband did at the altar? I know, wild backstory for a Disney character, but that is what happens. We're kind of cosplaying her fit. Pretty wedding dress, really fucking big sci-fi gun. Plus 30% radiant damage. Extra suppression. Suppressions are good. Do we need 30% extra radiant damage? I think we should just take the suppression. Even though it's not, like, objectively synergistic. Hell yeah. What most Cinder 16 wins in a row I have done, I believe it was 3. Mostly because I don't play a lot of Cinder 16 unless I'm doing it for the 1000% spreadsheet we have. I've been playing this game since the very first early access branch. I actually got an early code for that early access branch, so I've been playing for a long time. Before there were Cinders and shit. So, after I got every achievement the first time, I've gone back to re-earn every achievement a couple times now, since whenever they've added new ones. I made the 1000% spreadsheet, which is beating every boss as every character on different difficulties. PB is 6, Cinder 16s, very nice. That is impressive. I should try and go on a Cinder 16 streak. I've never, like, actually tried to. And I think I should. I typically vary it up a little more than that. But that's a good idea. Man, the Disintegrator is just kind of lackluster today, comparatively. There we go. Plus 10 curse. For some reason, all my runs end up being surrounded by an army of bees, and it makes you win. Hey, whatever works. You know, whatever works. Uh-oh. Oh! Right at the last threshold. Rippers. Alright. You know what? Let's do some Cinder 16. You've encouraged me. To hop back into the deep end. RIPR. What was our streak? Oof. That was our PB Cinder streak we just lost. Yeah. That's... We just lost a 68-some Cinder streak. Oh, sevens. That's okay. See you next time, YouTube. Alright. The D6 says a 5. Who's our 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Warrior. Alright. Warrior. Warrior. Gain extra for heart containers. Whoop. Tent is tempting. Good. I've not done a broken hero sword in a while. Should play the druid. I do love druid, as well as in D&D. But kind of got a system. There's a got a big old spreadsheet. How many? I've only done. I've actually beaten Cinder 16 as the druid. The one and only time I've played druid, I did get a Cinder 16 win. But yeah, crank it up to full Cinder 16, which I know is strictly illogical, but it's fine. I've been loving Golden Spatula. Been really enjoying it. What's his ability? Because again, I've not played a ton since these were added. I wish it showed more of the details of it in here. I feel like the current meta of the game is companion, so the druid's really strong. I don't really meta. I just gotta make shit break. It's my experience. Either like I coast through the run and it's okay. I die because I'm, you know, haven't played it in a little while and we're having a bad vision day. Or I just break the game somehow. Like with my recent Fire Rain run, where I stacked really high movement speed and had the Fire Rain boots. And I would enter the room and everything would just die. It's over up on YouTube. I've really enjoyed that run. Rend. You know what? Let's do Broken Hero Sword Warrior. Why not? I'm feeling adventurous. Hey, it's AAA and welcome to Tiny Rogues. Doing Warrior Cinder 16, starting with the Broken Hero Sword. Just because we've not really used that in a while. Alright, we got a slow hand axe. That's fine. After this room, I will check what the charge time is on our ability, because I've not used it before. Charge time instant, refills every 9 enemies. Okay, wow, so this is really, really fast. It's just like, oh, okay, cool. I can work with that. Part of me is tempted to just use the Broken Hero Sword now. Grab a blessing. What you got? Orbital speed, equip load. We're going to end up with a lot of equip load because we're strength, so give me movement speed. Don't have any bombs, that sucks. Come on. Thank you. +1 heart, +1 block. Give me a companion. I like companions. Rawr, rawr, rawr. Not gonna let you stick around. Come on, there we go. I'm really enjoying this guy. Like how he plays now. Being able to do that little spin is enjoyable. It really encourages bleed builds, which were previously kind of bad. And still might be kind of bad, I don't know. The meta has changed a lot during my hiatus. Ooh. Yeah, Goat Horn is probably being what we take. There's Snake, Poison Duration. Ooh, Camel or Goat Horn? Because we're on Cinder 16, I'm going to take Camel. Actually, I have to say no to that, because since we're trying to Broken Hero Sword, we need more money than we would on a normal run. So when money's offered, I kind of have to take it. This also pains me slightly. But we're not currently having any weapon issues. Give me random consumables. And of course now we get a hold room. Hold room? Horde room. Monster jams. Ah. I wonder if that's a reference to the old game Monster Jam. Oh yeah, I'll happily take a frickin' free revive. Thanks. Very worth it. Don't have money for a tavern. I actually stopped doing the dice set. I used to do almost exclusively the dice set. These days I prefer Golden Spatula. Ow, I thought I had a dash, I didn't. Have I 100% of the game? Yes, I have 100% of the game a few times. See, how many... I'm trying to think how many different, like, iterations of the game I've 100%ed. It's a lot. I was just like a millisecond too slow on getting that slash in. Good job, Camel. Yes, Into the Abyss should be out this fall, hopefully. Looking forward to it. I don't know if I don't think I'll complete my 100% spreadsheet, my 1000% spreadsheet before then, which is honestly probably fine. I'll just update it to the new shit, like to include the new shit. Ah. Nice. Extra close range damage, power. I gotta take Turtle. And I'm doing alright on... Wait. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Into the Abyss. I'm gonna take this even though I know I should take this for Broken Hero Sword. The one thing I am a little worried about with the game is the runs are already very long. And... I don't know. I know he said there's going to be an endless mode that'll only be necessary for achievements. But as an achievement hunter, that's... I don't know. I don't see myself playing it outside of for achievements. Because me, the fun of a good build is, you know, getting to the end quickly. Also, man, this Centurion is kicking my ass. Really regretting not taking that weapon option earlier. Alright, well, there's my Phoenix Feather. And there's my other revive, because my stamina wasn't up in time. Yeah, we're gonna get DPS'd. We failed the DPS check, that is the Centurion. Actually, we're gonna barely survive the DPS check, that is the Centurion. Whew. I didn't say I was the GOAT. I said I'm a GOAT. I'm good. That's annoying. Want the infinite run so bad to see how the B thing can get? Yeah, when it comes to roguelikes, right, I don't really fuck with the meta. I don't, like, mainline what's best every time. I just kind of feel my way through it. For example, I've never, like, intentionally tried to mainline what was meta. Outside of, like, I guess, picking the Broken Hero Sword, back when Broken Hero Sword was amazing. It's still good, but it used to be too good. And I did that a couple times. I remember the old days of really good Soul Scarf. When Soul Scarf first came out, it was just too good. I played it, I did that, like, 3 or 4 runs, and I'm like, nah, I'm done. Because as someone who plays roguelikes a lot, I don't want to let myself get bored of them in a way that's my own fault, you know? Potions do not help. I'm actually going to take the curse because we need money. This run is doomed. because I foolishly picked a soul heart over a weapon, and then the next time we saw access to a weapon, it was gated. If we can make it to that, we're going to come just under what we need, unfortunately. And funnily enough, it's going to be better than what we have. We're going to use the Broken Hero Sword over the hand axe. Its range is bad. Oh, that was a really lucky swing in with the... Oof. God damn it. I'm still not used to the new infection. I miss old plague. We'll do this for an array of weapons. Because while the guaranteed ranged weapon isn't ideal, having the choice of other weapons is. Ah, fuck. I underestimated just how bad that being stuck with that starting weapon for so long was. We're going to run it back. I always run it back if we don't make it past floor 3. Going to run it back with a smuggler pouch. Oh yeah, it is very fucking hard. A lot of my experience comes from just I memorized a lot of it back in the day. So every time there's a new update on patterns change, sometimes I gotta relearn shit, like relearning how the pestilence one works and things like that. For a legally blind person, I'm pretty solid. The minigun's a fun start. Sorry, not the minigun, the Tommy gun. Technically, you can use it with strength. Stop offering me intelligence. I don't want it. I thought I had a dash off cooldown. I did not. Charm. Gloves, please. I can speak. Thank you, suppression. I'm gonna tough it out with this shitty hand axe because of the block. And I don't want to risk taking an extra hit. Come on. Kill the thing. There we go. Say hello to my little friends. There we go. Chill additionally adds plus 75% critical hit damage taken. All enemies are considered fiends. These aren't... we'll take the knighthood. None of those were very good. Stop offering me intelligence. I don't want it. There we go. It is very funny still to me that, like, skeletons bleed. But then you think about it, like, blood is produced in bone marrow, so it does make sense. We're just so used to skeletons not bleeding and stuff that even though it makes sense, it feels wrong. Melee weapon, please. Alright, so we're gonna have the boy next time. Oh, man. Flamerang, really? Is all you got for me? Yeah, Flamerang's all you got for me. Key or curse? I will take a key. Oh, fuck. Yeah, my dodge just didn't come off cooldown. Because I timed it wrong. I do appreciate that they made the Centurions harder. They used to be too easy. Does make less sense than a ghost bleeding. You're right, you're right. Didn't feel like burning my last red dice for no reason this early. Oh, I should have gone for the melee chest, fuck. I was just so mainlined on strength that I didn't see it. Or money, rather, that I didn't see it. Am I encumbered? No, I'm just slow as all hell. See, cold affecting snowman I can see because, like, you could freeze the snow into ice and then it's not, you know, flexible anymore. This Toxic Flamerang's honestly doing numbers despite it not being a strength scaling primary. Does a burning volcano make sense? Not really. Sand step boots. Ooh. No, not. See, there's a temptation for this to just be able to shield swap. Do I care about shield swapping? I should shield swap, yeah. Let me check the spreadsheet. What have we done for warrior? Let's go for lawful. Lawful for warrior. Plus strength, lucky hit, equip load. We want this. There we go. I'm just gonna take the key. Hey, speaking of bees. Hello, bees. Sure. Slime wand, machine gun, +1. We're going to leave the hive to last. Is that one of my doormates blending something? I'm assuming so, and I hope it's not the dryer. Hi, I'm Trip, they, them pronouns. I'm a Pride Guild and Latin Guild Twitch streamer. primarily does roguelikes, indie reviews, and game. What's the word for the other thing? Sandbox games like Minecraft. And cozy games, I guess. Minecraft, Terraria, Stardew, that kind of shit. I want Hand of Hearts. Hand of Hearts is fun when we also have Steadfast. Let's get out of there. Oh. You can't shield swap meta anymore. That makes sense, I guess. Will I ever not get... Every time this stream I've opened one of these, it's been a black market. Going lawful. Morningstar is good. Give me a Morningstar. Well, I don't... Soul Shield just isn't as good. There we go. Do we gamble? Do we gamble? Whoop. 14... Oh. Yeah, give me cross chain. And we'll gamble. Why not? That's actually good. Not immediately useful, but could be good. Fuck. Fucking... There he is. What took you so long, old man? I hit the wrong button for skills. I hit frickin' V for some reason for skills. There's not really any reason to do either of those. I really don't need more bombs. Perfect. Where's the last fucker? There he is. Keys. We'll go boots, and we'll try not to die. No guarantees. Thankfully, we do have a weapon he's weak to, or she's weak to. It is a queen bee. Very nice bleed damage. I kind of missed. There we go. Yippee! The bees are no match for the me's. On dash, launch knives. That's probably what we're going to take. Yeah. We're going to do something I basically never do, and we're going to pay for the campfire. Ooh. Yes. Shield already fucking broke. Let's fucking go. No strength. Crappy strength. Crappy strength. Alright, guess we're bleed building it. Which is good for this, because it does have a bleed synergy, right? Already bleeding, tick the bleed 3 times in rapid succession, yeah. Do I... We could sell this. Nah, just bomb. Oof. We are so goddamn slow, though. I would really love a speed upgrade. Don't want the crystal items. So we hear the rumblings of the man, the machine. Honestly? We're gonna pop it. I definitely thought he would be dead by that. It is interesting that a machine bleeds. Him bleeding doesn't make a lot of sense, but I'll take it. Ooh, Dragon Slayer stash. I don't like this weapon all that much. Let's do it. Because I find it high cinders, true melee runs are kind of doomed. Fuck. Much better. This is going to be tough, though. Fucking meteors. Yes, I know I am in risk of dying. Thank you, game. Oh. That's okay. Those were some attempts at Center 16. It's been a little while. We got some rust to shake off. But I'll see you next time. Alright, let's roll the d6. That's 5 again. 5 again. 1. Chaos. Alright, fuck it. Random skill. Spatula. Just gonna hop right in. This is episode 169. Probably be our last Tiny Rogues run for the stream. Hey, it's AAA. Welcome back to Tiny Rogues. We're trying to shake off the rust some more. This time, some Chaos Cinder 16s. We are Master of Key. That's shit. Wow, what a terrible combination of things. What's our skill? Super Flight. That's good. Come on. There we go. What's the cooldown on this? Like 21 rooms. Alright, so it's a... We're trying to do monk punch shit. No. Bad wizard. Is there anything in this that doesn't help us? Companion damage, movement speed per unused point of equip load. Excellent. Now we're faster. Take an offhand. Remember, if shit gets scary, we right click and we have 4 seconds of intangibility. That was cool as all hell. I think that's superheroes one. We can hold 2 charges of it, so we can technically use it every floor, roughly, at our current charge rate. Yeah, we're going to try and switch it up, switching between fisted weapon, I think. Armor boots. Give me knight armor. We'll lose a lot of speed on it. But knight armor is just really good. And I'm willing to take off the hat for more speed. What are these called? Hide boots. I like them. Reinforced Club +4. Sniper's Barricade. Nice. Having something with a bit more range than our fists have is good. Crappy array of dice, but we'll work with it. There might be a synergy that could, like, make our normal attacks do fist stuff. Truthfully, I've not done many fist runs since the rework. Or since the most recent rework, I guess. So I guess our current setup is run in, punch, 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 then switch to our weapon. Ooh, yes. I mean, Boozer's fine, but Rage. Stacking up Rage with what we got going on. Once we're low on ki, we just swap to our fists. Really surprised I did that side weave successfully, considering I'm doing punch shit. We really need a pair of gloves. Where is she? Got her. Ooh. Have a good night. Thanks for dropping by. Feel free to follow if you're not already for future Tiny Rogue shenaniganery. And I hope you have a good weekend. Now I'm an angry baseball fan. Give me strength. Theoretically, in a room like this, you could, like, farm up max key. Oh, that was atrociously bad by walking into that. Here he is. Fuck it. Ah. I don't know if there's a way for me to end that early. I should have checked. But I definitely did not check. Regenerating super health carrots? No! Stop it. Be gone with you carrots. Max key, max rage. Oh, I forgot that. Yeah, picking up a weapon means our hands are no longer empty. Which one of these is better? Yeah, that one's very clearly better. Do I sell or do I get a curse? I get a curse. Cool. Potion, poison duration. Let's do poison duration. We have no keys. And I don't feel like upgrading the Bardici. I think we're very close to getting something better. Oh, yippee. Magic find, please. Ooh. Weapon or offhand? Weapon. We don't have any charges. Need to remember that. We can't Superman away this fight. Fuck. That was a terrible... I walked into that. The fact it can do those arrows while it's hiding is annoying. Oh, thank God. I was really worried there for a second. The giant hammer, huh? Sure. Let's see, who have we beaten warrior with? Beaten evil path. So we're gonna take law path. Gonna buy all those just to get my law up. Trait tome? Nah, give me strength and dex, please. Ah, fucking shit. Okay. Sorry, I went very quiet there. Where are you? That was bad. I have no keys. There we go. I'm starting to think maybe I should abandon the fists. That was bad. And just get a little bit of key charge occasionally when I can squeeze it in. Until I get gloves. Or when I'm finishing off little ads like this to give me a boost into the next room I go. For my, my first attempt at Chaos Cinder 16, definitely did not give me an easy one. Hello, Demon Shell. That's fucking fantastic. We can afford to lose strength. We go in. Not strength, int. We can afford to lose int. We have a chance. The beginnings of a chance. Absolutely give me explosive force. I'm on a Phoenix Feather high. I'm gonna go for the consumables. Okay, now our fists are cooking. Hello, Rat King. Punching a rat to death. Just tiny roach things. Where'd you go, you little shithead? There you are. Ow. Asshole. The frickin' death dings are gonna be the death of me ding. Fuck! Oh, we were so close. Alright, we're gonna run it back. Oh, that had potential. That had so much potential. Hit me again, Chaos. What are we now? Transmutation Guild. So we can get Alchemy. Ranger Camp, Nano Armor, Golden Spatula, which I picked. Flex. Come invulnerable for a second. Huh. Alright, so we're going to be inting. Not intentionally throwing, going for intelligence. We want to try and get the permanent potions one, if we can. The flex is an interesting combo here. Does it damage in an area? Every 20 enemies, costs 1. Vulnerable for a second if I want to take damage at that time, get attack speed. Very interesting. I guess it's kind of a spot block, oddly. Oh, fuck, I timed it wrong. Yeah, it is a spot block, effectively. I think that's what that term is. Or like, if you time it right, it just goes, nope, you didn't hit me. My brain always wants to call them smash blocks, like the blocks in Smash Brothers. Super Smash. Never know what to call Smash. Ah. See, I got the free hit and then wasted it. By immediately getting hit after I came out of invulnerability. Somehow that didn't hit. Oh, it hit my little muscle arms, not me. Alright. Chill gets crit. Taunt. Intelligence. Additionally grants. Sure. I'm actually gonna say no to that because we want more intelligence. Nice. I'm determined to win one of these win one of these runs tonight. One of these Cinder 16s. Get back in the rhythm. Part of it also is I gotta get back to playing Tiny at least once a week, which I hadn't been. Because class has got me all distracted and stuff. Understandably. Arcane Shuriken, please. Homing weapons, my beloved. Not kind of homing. Okay, officially not homing. Still good. I hate you. Give it to me. Come on. Fuck. We're taking Mage Blood because of the ability we started with. Because we can get some very good potions. These are homing, I was right. I don't know how I tripped myself into thinking they weren't homing, but I did. I screwed up the spot block. Nice. This has potential to be a very good fun run, and I really hope it goes further than our last one did. Let's see. What's this? Treasure find for every chaos you have. Not very useful for us. Power for mana containers. Movement speed for mana containers. Attack speed with bows and crossbows. Treasure find per chaos you have. This seems good, but I just don't feel like it is. Make me faster. Speed's pretty important in this game. Because, you know, dodging is a thing. Had to upgrade it, didn't you? We'll do the melee chest and then break it. There we go. Thought the room was done. Where are you, little jokers? Yummy. Give me random consumables, please. Fuck. That should have a potion in it. Please finish existing. Wait, sorry. Please finish existing. Trip, what the fuck does that mean? It's very interesting, like, intentionally using that to block a hit, instead of just getting out of the way for the attack speed. It just gives +1 strength now. Reroll consumable, transform into keys, transform into bombs. Reroll it. Echo shard. Neat. Sucky up. Oh god, the bees. It's mini bee. I do love mini bee. Fuck it. Take mini bee. Potions for gold, yes. Let's go. Wrath potion. Alright, we're gonna lean away from it now. Magic sign. Fine. Magic find? Magic find. I can speak. Give me a rare. Do I slightly regret not taking up the dex given to me earlier? Kinda. then how would I have known that the game was deciding what run I was going to have for me at that point? It's a BEB world out there. I ran out of dash. Nice. Orbital speed, critical hit chance, burn damage. I guess I'll take burn damage, which is not useful. Load, magic fine movement. Perfect. Not quite enough to do the heal on this next floor, but gives us enough lawful, which we didn't have lawful for chaos, did we? No, we don't. Nidorino. Not the Pokemon. I don't have any keys. Give me Dex and Int. Nicely done. Am I complimenting myself? I'm committing to the mini-bee. Committing to the bit. That was... ow. Don't die. Yay. That was terrifying. Cool. Gonna keep gold maxing. We won't get a chance to upgrade through normal means until floor 6, which will be a little bit of an issue. So it likely means we'll get up to the Maxi B, but we'll have to wait until to upgrade the Maxi B until the 9th floor. So we'll be cutting it a little close. A little early on my dodge, but we level up. Come on. None of these are very good for us. I guess this. There we go. And one hit. Ah, fucking shit fuck. I disagree fundamentally with that, but that's okay. Thank you, poison. We're gonna have to refill next floor. Yeah. Because we're out of flasks and we're down a heart. No, we're not down a heart. Just out of flasks. We'll be alright. This is hell. So many things buffing and healing each other. Why? Glad the enchantment's thorns and not something harder. If I didn't have poison, this would have been hell. Honestly? Upgrade rarity? Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's really good. That's really freaking good. Also, as you can probably tell, I had mixed up abilities. I thought we had the thing that would give us special potions. We did not. But that's okay. There he is. There's our boy. We got rid of all the... Oh, fuck. We got rid of all the other ads. Give me random equipment. What does that mean? Sure. I could just say no to this, and I'm going to take this instead. Because this blessing could give us equip load, which we desperately need. Next floor will have the opportunity to turn this into a maxi bee. So fucking fast. There we go. Chill, burn, boss reward. Take boss reward up. Amount of bombs. So here we go. There's so much shit in this room. Whew. Not seen a potion in a while. Stop it, monk. Thank you, safe bet, and thank you, Dex. Epic item. Absolutely. I would take the pine resin. Kill the Pied Piper. Yikes indeed. Fuck. Get away from me, mouse. We've killed all the ads. Even though he keeps spawning ads, I just gotta survive. He had no health left. The poison! The poison. R.I.P. Roll the d6. 1. Who's 1 on the d6? Chaos. Yeah, we can keep doing chaos runs. Take a replenishing armor powder. Hey, it's AAA. Welcome back to Tiny Rogues. Still trying to do Cinder 16. This time we're taking the replenishing armor powder with us this time. I believe this is episode 170. What do we got? Blessed. Double lucky hit chance. Start with a Draco Spear, Patient Gown, and the Amethyst Ring. Very interesting. So we're gonna... Oh, I didn't check what our skill is. What's our random skill? Arrest. Shackle an enemy, permanently applying minus 20% movement speed and plus 20% damage taken and dealing damage. They're enchanted. The debuff is applied to the entire pack, and the pack is enchanted removed. Oh, but you can like barely use it. Alright, interesting. Seems like a very good ability. If you like Mana Star Max, you can probably have a really good time with it, especially on boss fights. Just shut down a boss's enchantment. Fight them normally. Especially at high cinders like this. So we're gonna have to fight the tree, this floor. Give me a helmet. Our DPS is pathetic, and our skill doesn't help it. Its enchantments aren't bad, though. Party and Web are really easy to work around. There's our suppression gone. There's my free heart. I'm starting to think I'm kind of washed. I need to go back to... The meta of Tiny Rogue has changed a lot with the inclusion of skills, and I feel like I gotta catch up. Get back to being a goat. +1 suppression. +5 intelligence. 4 seconds of invincibility after taking damage. Oh, I forgot our random stats. We're 142. Give me cross chain. The hat was tempting for some early stats, but 4 seconds of invincibility could stop us from getting comboed to death. Lovely. This is not great. Of course, there's infested in here too. I'm poisoned? I've not been poisoned in a while. Kind of forgot I was a mechanic. Come on. There you go. That took like 2 minutes? Felt like it. Uncommon weapon, thank God. Snow Wand, Claymore, Banjo. A shocking banjo. Hell yeah. I want to sleep in your bed, please. How do I... Oh, lever. Rapid fire bow, my beloved. I feel like last time I was in that room, I didn't see the switch. Wow. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna take this. Okay, we're full-on archery build. Archer. We can do that. On dash, gain stacks of Tailwind. No. 3 attacks, next 1 crits. Yes. Give me gloves. We're still poisoned. Oh, it didn't hit him. Come on out. Bro's arrested. Oh, he was crit resistant too. Yes. That felt so good. Ow. That was my foot hitting the desk. Taking damage in this room at plus 20% attack speed. Gold rewards automatically granted gold pickup. Mercenary armor it is. I'm still dinging from poison. Oh, it's just drink speed. Doesn't decrease your healing anymore? I didn't notice that in the patch notes. I like that. Good change. Bombs are gold. Gold, because we want to upgrade this on this floor. Sure. Give me an uncommon backup weapon. Brick. Ah, yes, the Dragon Slayer's brick. Here he comes. What's up? We really want a quiver. We've not seen one. We've got plenty of time to see one. Sorry, I keep going quiet just because, one, chat's not very active tonight, and two, just so much is going on. Trying to get back on my Cinder 16 hype. I did not see that projectile. Yes. I hate you, but I need to do this. Unfortunately, I'm broke, so I didn't get to do a lot. He's doing the thing where he's playing music in the shower, which I've asked him not to do. There we go. Recover a heart. And this time it breaks. Yep. Give me set. Hell yeah, handcuffs. Makes the boss fight so much easier. Yippee! Orbital range, sword attacks repeat, movement speed up. I'll take the movement speed. Go lawful again. Equip load. Nice. Okay, the infected's really annoying, but I'm learning to adapt to it. Destroyed. We go with the random. We got very lucky getting that dwarven room to get this upgraded bow. This will level us up again. Yes. Alacrity is fucking incredible. We need the money. Bye-bye, brick. Mana recovery, intelligence. How much does this sell for? Huh. That's interesting. It gives you like an even sale to the souls you spent on it. Unexpected, but cool. I never noticed that. Ah. Plus 100% stats. Oh, we got very lucky by that. Hello there. Get rinsed. So this will get up to a, if we get the money, this can get up to a plus 10 rapid fire bow. You'd love to see it. We've still not got anything to really take advantage of the lucky hit chance we've got, but it's early. And we're gonna go for this. Oh crap, we don't have the mana to handcuff these jokers. Thankfully our run's gotten really good, so it may not be necessary. Stream's been mostly a string of losses up until this run, which finally might actually do a thing. Actually, we started off doing pretty well. But then someone in chat suggested, hey, try and, you know, build up a nice Cinder 16 win streak to kind of flex on them. And that's gone disastrously. But this run, we've got I think we're at plus 7 rapid fire bow. That'll cap at plus 10. We're playing as Chaos, so all our stuff is randomized. So yeah, our DPS, like our attacks per second, is huge. Our damage, less huge. Really need like some on-hit effects. We do have every third hit crits, which we're getting great use out of. We also have boots, so on every dash we electrocute everybody, which is useful. Great. Great. Actually, there we go. 2 dashes and now most things are dead. Thanks to our boots. We have an interesting skill this run. It's basically just magic handcuffs that we can use to take away a thing's modifiers, increase the damage it takes and stuff like that. So boss fights aren't too bad. It's our room to room that's an issue. Thrusting damage inflicts puncture. Lightning conductor is gonna be fucking insane. Especially with our extra lucky hit chance. which means percentage-based things are more likely to occur. Up to a rapid-fire bow plus 8. I can't believe I just let myself get hit by that. On dash, gain swiftness. Is that better? Maybe. Genuinely maybe. Buy companions for gold. 15% for checks to repeat, or extra shock percent. Lightning top end damage. Yeah, no, that's happening. Don't have any bombs, let alone 2 bombs. We're going for offhand again because we really need a quiver. Hello. He's already dead, he just doesn't know it. There we go. Okay. 20% chance for attacks to repeat. Or poison damage on every shot. I mean, we don't do a lot of damage per hit. So I think the Vilethorn Quiver makes sense. We're going to be slightly over-encumbered, and that's okay. We are a Gatling gun. We're really going to be glad for that extra dash right around here. How do I feel even more encumbered than I did? We can take this off because it's not giving us any armor right now. Give me a potion. Of course it's a fucking rainbow potion. We don't have the bombs for that, unfortunately. So key. Interesting, we've got a lot of shit here. But do I take the hit to sell it? I don't think so. There we go. We're up to a +9. Do more attack speed. We kill the blood chest. It goes out very easily. Or would have if I hadn't walked into it. Order Charm, +15 power. We really don't need the intelligence. It's driving me nuts. My doormate is listening to music so loudly. What the fuck? You see that shit? Attack speed, go fucking burr. critical hit chance. Yeah, that's really good. Law. Damage against dragons. Extra heart. We want the extra heart, please. Do we spend 6 souls? Yeah. We spend 6 souls for... It's capped, I forgot. Ah. Ah. They specifically capped it for interactions like that. Bombs, thank God. I am slightly encumbered, and that's okay. I'm going to keep saying that until it's true. Until it feels more true. I hear our curse nerfed us. Damage from skills inflict vulnerable. Ailments and debuffs inflicted by skills have 100% effect. No. No. Modifiers to mana recovery also apply to your damage over time? Sure. That's not very good. Dare I say, it's bad, even. We'll be on the lookout on a way to change that. Okay. No, thought about it. Nice. +1 XP, +1 dex. I miss when those gave you a 1/1/1. I really do. Actually. Alright. What of this can we afford to drink that? That's better. We need the assassin gloves. Assassin gloves. No, zealot gloves. Actually, no, we don't want the assassin gloves because we already have freaking incredible gloves. Evil urn. Yeah. That's not what I expected to be in the evil urn. That almost killed me. The Muramasa. And Cyber Sickles. Alright. Cool. Get him. Get handcuffed, loser. Loser is right. That's actually a solid pickup. Because we have even more lucky hit chance. fully recover. Love to see it. Money. This is chaos. Just a little bit. I do often wonder why this floor is just so much harder than the other ones. Because to me, it just always feels so much harder. Bomb. Bomb. Okay, deep breath. Level me up. Very nice. Your modifiers, the lucky hit chance, also apply to your critical hit damage. Ooh. No, give me Illusion of Control. Still want to get rid of that one. Ow. Hell yeah. I remembered that was a thing, and I embraced it. We'll check this, but probably not buy anything. No. 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 Cool. Nope. I shouldn't have done that. That was not worth the trade-off there. I just remembered. Can't actually do that. Because we won't... Then we'll fall. Yeah, no. We can't. I will use this. XP. Alright, we're at 9. Helmet or set item? Helmet. What's up, dudes? That's interesting. For duo bosses, each one has one enchant. So when you use handcuffs... Oh no, I accidentally handcuffed the fucking sentry. That's not what I meant to do. So it's funny that I didn't need it. Paladin's helmet's really good. Grant you Fury on hit. Holy shit. Honestly? Extra armor. And when I repair armor, I gain a heart back. That's really good. We should take the +1 armor. +1 mana is really good too. But having the replenishing armor when we have 3 sets of armor, 3 blocks of armor is very good. We are a little starved for strength. No. Genuinely, even an epic bow isn't going to be outperforming our bow right now. It doesn't have an equip load. Why am I taking that off? That I can take off. Because the poison's not really a make or break. It's just a bonus. Trait Tome. Yeah. Oh, this is floor 9. So we can get our level 10 on the bow and upgrade our repair our armor for free. Give me that. Get rid of entropy. Now we're gonna be swinging fucking hammers. We don't need the money anymore. Oh my god. Look at all the hammers! No fucking way. We're gonna get to even higher. We're gonna take this. Because when we repair our armor, we'll get the hearts back. We made a bow that shoots hammers. Actually, more specifically, it shoots Mjolnirs. We don't really want a tavern, surprisingly, because our enchantment's the best one. We could go for some armor powders, I guess. Didn't get it. What does this even do? Arcane? No. Can't remember. Oh, we do want this. I'm out of bombs, so that's a no. Weapon or a set bonus? We'll do a set bonus. Fuck it. Tempted to put it on. That's 220 extra damage at long range, which just seems hilarious. This is truly chaotic. In a delightful way. Hi there, buddy. I guess buddies, because there's 3 of you. You just need to be patient. Boom. No. On dash, your next 5 auto crit. No. Tempting, but no. Very tempting, I'll add, but no. We need to focus up whenever this thing's in the room, because this thing's a pain, even on a good run like this. Look at all the hammers. Tally of 30 attacks, trigger your on-skill used effects, and then deal plus 100% damage. That's really tempting. Do we have anything on skill use? I don't think so. But that's probably the best thing we're going to get here. No. So after 30 shots, we get 8 seconds of 100% damage. Which is a lot. I would absolutely love a blacksmith. Not blacksmith. Can't have one of those. Pawn shop. That was very chaotic. I'm just going to use the potion right away to guarantee we beat death, get our Cinder 16 win. Anything else would be nice, but secondary. Items for gold. Can't buy both of these, can we? 39. Fuck. Okay, well. One of these is just objectively better than the other. We're not at our cap yet, so we can afford to keep going up. We're in Vision Quest. I was wondering if it would let me, like, charge up Vision Quest before I came in the room. Yes. Yes, please. Really don't need Illusion of Control. There's so many other good things we could get. Gain skill effect percent. Stamina you have? That was kind of a waste. I'll do it again. Want to lock into something really good. Crushing damage with ranged weapons at close range. Do I do poison? I do poison damage. Yeah, we'll do that. No need for that. We have obsidian dice. Yes, Soul Heart. I'm going to put Death in handcuffs. The equivalent of, like, grounding Death. Death, you're grounded. I mean, that kind of happens in an episode of Supernatural. I didn't save souls for repairing armor, but that's okay. We got this. We got this. Hello. I handcuffed Death. We are so back. Bye-bye. That was Warrior. Cinder 16. I believe this is episode 170. There's 16. There we go. Honestly, yeah. You play a lot of ailments. Shadow Plains time. Set bonus or equipment, we don't want either. That was a really slick dodge. I'm proud of that. We don't have any bombs, otherwise I would go in there. That was a double ouchie. Even more decks. We are nearing our cap. Or the soft cap, I guess. It's not a hard cap, it's a soft cap. Will we beat Primal Death on Cinder 16? No idea. I find it unlikely, but not impossible. Crit chance. With the metric fuck ton of shots we shoot, some natural crit chance would be nice. What's that? Buy equipment for souls? No thanks. Dang. No. I know we've got revives. I don't want to use them on chumps. Like that. Having no bombs and keys did definitely make this run harder. I wonder if I could beat a run without ever having bombs or keys. That sounds like something I should try. One final rest. We want to fully recover. Mostly for the flasks. We'll take body armor. Hey, we appreciate our lurkers. We're nearing the end of the stream here. Wanted to get back into my, no, not you, frick. I handcuffed the wrong enemy. I handcuffed the chump instead of the final boss. Or semi-final boss. We're trying to get our groove back in Tiny Rogues. Lost a lot of Cinder 16 runs today. Finally, this run's already technically won. There's just some bonus bosses that we're trying to beat. See, Jiren, you think you want minions, you really don't. With my build, you really don't want minions around. All the chain lightning. Deafening amounts of chain lightning. Your soul is mine. Nah, bro. Ah. Yes, the Undertale attack. Come on. There we go. Whew. That was close. 100% weapon damage at far range. I mean, we're getting a lot of far range, but then we would lose our fragility, which I don't think is worth it. Don't really want any of it, honestly. I guess this is technically better until we get to the end of the floor. Look at him. Oh, he stopped. The bird was dancing at the cauldron. He was thirsty. Yeah, give me companion damage. Yeah, this room is worst case scenario. We've got the Centurion, we've got the Reaper. We're not getting out of this room alive, chat. We got the worst RNG imaginable on room spawn, because we got the two uncommon enemies together. But hey, we won. And that's what matters to me tonight. Hope you enjoyed that. I sure did. And I'll see you next time. Oh. Whoops. I hit the wrong button. I was trying to tab back into it, not close it. Oh well. I am tired. I'm gonna raid out. So anyone to raid 2. Yeah. Let's raid red. Have a good night, everyone. Make good choices. Or don't. Ideally do.